Right, so we're actually at one of my most favourite locations in Britain, and it's allegedly one of the most haunted roads in Britain. It's meant to be the most haunted road / sort of bridge in Britain. First though, we're going to start at this pylon. You're going to think, what on earth are you doing at a pylon? So basically, when this road was being constructed, when this bridge was being constructed, this bypass, in 1986, 1987, some security guards were sat in the car, making sure, everything's going normal, there's no people trespassing and disrupting. And it must have been around midnight, or past midnight, and they said they could hear children singing, and thinking, why is the children singing? Because if you have a look around, there's no houses as such, like there's no built areas where you'd see children, especially at past midnight. The closest village or town where there'd be kids is all the way down there, and you can see how far away it is. And they came to have a look around, and they came up this road here, because obviously the bridge was being built, and they said underneath this pylon there were kids running in a circle singing Ring a Ring a Roses. Now, how weird's that? And they described them as having Victorian clothing, and they looked not mucky, but they looked dirty, as like they'd been working basically, like in a coal mine, for example, and there'd have been hundreds of coal mines around here. And the clothing was just outdated, and they were just plain, they were running around in a circle singing Ring a Ring a Roses, and then before they knew it, they'd vanished. Like before their eyes, they'd gone, completely vanished. Now, they've been seen a lot of times by a load of different people. I don't know how recently they've been seen since, but they're meant to be seen just underneath this pylon.
A group of children running in a circle in a field. The time was round about midnight, and you just wouldn't see children playing there at that time of night when it was so far away from any houses. And the children disappeared.
So now this is where it gets really, really good and really, really spooky. So if you look behind us now, this is the bridge that goes over the bypass. So you'll be able to hear the traffic going out. So it's not an incredibly busy road, but obviously this road's barely even used. And now there's two policemen, I can't remember the names, they were sat in their patrol car on the bypass. Obviously it went in use then, it was still being constructed, just making sure everything's absolutely fine, because these security men got really freaked out and they completely lost it, and then ended up going to the security office wherever they were working and saying, we've just seen this, and they were really shaken up. One of them were crying because they were that shaken up from these kids, because why would you see them? And it was like, oh well, if ghosts and that, you want to go to church if there's all these ghosts. And they actually did go to the church. They took that very seriously. They went straight to StocksBridge Church, which is down there, and frantically banging on the door, obviously to get help. And obviously the vicar answered it and rung the police. And the police says, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll take them away and stuff. And they listened to what these security guards had said, and says, oh, it's probably people mucking about, don't think it's anything else. One of the security guards actually left. He quit the job completely after that, and I think one of them lasted 6 months. So not long after, it really shook them up. So now these policemen came, and obviously they were parked down there, I don't know which side they were on, and they were obviously keeping watch, and they sat there hours not seeing anything. They were getting a little bit bored, and then one of them says, hang on a minute, there's something on top of that bridge, and obviously just here, go and have a look what it is. He says, yeah, it just looks like there's something up there. So he gets out with his torch, comes up, and it's actually a bit of polythene, like a sheet of polythene waving in wind. They thought that there was something there, so they're thinking, oh, get back in car. That's probably what the security guards had seen. And then about 20 minutes later, they'd seen something else again. It's like, hang on a minute, there is something up there. It says there's something moving around on top of that bridge, and it was not anywhere near with this polythene sheet was. So he says, oh, all right, okay. So he comes back up with his torch, shines it down here, and it's actually what he describes as a monk in like a brown cloak with a bit of string there, like a typical monk with a little pointy hood, and the torch shone right through it.
Don't be daft. It can't be. Yes, there is. Look! You drive around, shine your lights on bridge. I'll wait down here. Right.
They immediately started the vehicle up, shone the headlights towards the hooded figure, and the headlights actually shone through the figure.
Oh, God. It's disappeared into thin air! Let's get out of here!
And the bloke who was in the car, the other policeman, shone his headlights up, and that shone completely through. And they completely went. They thought, right, we're going. So they completely went, and then they actually plucked up the courage to come back again a few nights later and says, right, we're going to get to the bottom of it. It must have been somebody mucking about. We're going to sit here and we're going to watch and see if anything happens again. Hours passed, absolutely nothing. Next minute, they hear a thud on the car and they're thinking, oh, what's that? And next minute, it's banging everywhere, like every direction on the roof, each door at the back. They get out, there's nobody there, they check under the car, there's nothing. And it says they describe it like stones. There was nothing, there was nobody there, so they got back in car. The car engine wouldn't start, so you obviously naturally start panicking. And then one of the policemen looks to the left quickly and sees the top half here of like a monk. And he's like, oh, it's there again. And obviously he looks and it's vanished, and they went, and they completely went, never come back again. So after doing some research, it turns out that they think where the bypass is now used to be a lot of monasteries, like big ones with farms and things, because there's a lot of farms, a lot of farmland. And the theory is the bypass was built over the top of a grave, and they reckon it could, this monk's grave, and it's disturbed something. So if it's gone over these grounds, they reckon it's disturbed it, which is why it's causing these horrible feelings and people seeing monks and all this and whatnot. A psychic was driving in a car. She was completely unaware of the story. Came down here, and as she passed under her, she got like a sense of like dread, and she could smell like rusty bolts, like a really fusty, horrible smell.
Does keep appearing on the bypass. What is it? Lucinda June is a psychic. She says she knows.
I was driving along the StocksBridge bypass, and the car started to become very, very cold. With this came a smell of musty books. Then all of a sudden a darkness appeared to the left-hand side of me, and I felt very, very frightened. And I did pick up the spirit of a monk that had been there 500 years previous.
But why should a long-dead monk be on what is now the StocksBridge bypass?
And then she says that she picked up the spirit of a monk that had been there 500 to 600 years previous in this place where she drove through. And obviously research, and she found out that people have been seeing a monk on this bridge, and that's how she sort of got involved. And another weird one, there were a couple driving back from spending time at the parents' house, and they drove through here, and somewhere, I don't know whether it was that way or this way, they saw somebody running across the road, but his legs were sort of in the road, so like a stone tape theory type thing, and it was more of a mist. They couldn't really make out shapes, but they knew it was a person because it was running right across the road, but in the road, if that makes sense, which they can't explain. And a bloke and his son who were out jogging, training for a marathon, they saw the same thing, a misty thing with the legs sort of in the ground. Now, nobody knows what that could be. That, to me, sounds like stone tape theory. Like I said, I don't know whether it was that side or this side, but that's strange. But every now and then, people do still, I mean, that's like 30 odd years ago, they do still claim to see the monk. I mean, we've been here twice now, we've not seen anything. Can't really sense anything, but whether drivers have seen things or sensed anything, we don't know. But it is meant to be one of the most haunted roads and bridges in Britain. But yeah, that's that.